Oh yeah. Tinini. Wow. Pura vida, mi gente. Yeah. Shabbat Shalom. Yeah. Pura vida. ¿Qué me dice mi gente? What's the word? What's the word? Hope you guys are having a good, Saturday. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys doing that every time. Today, just gonna go over. This is mainly for the new people. This video or this topic that I did way back about 4 or 5 years ago, and I just want to kind of remaster it. And I edited a little bit, got to the point, and wanted to go ahead and do side commentary as well as we watch the video. It's regarding Maximo and Bartola. If you guys don't know who these people are, you might have seen a picture circling online on the internet last couple of years, or for a lot of years actually now, of the last full-blooded Aztecs, the Aztec children, or the Aztec Lilliputians. All right. Well, what I'm going to do today is show you their true ethnicity and origin. We're going to expose the fake story that was put on them in order so they can be literally human trafficked by P.T. Barnum and paraded around in his circuses. All right, so he said, wait, Salvadoran froze? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what's up. That's what we're talking about. So thanks for tuning in. All right. And shout out to all the Patreons out there, all my moderators, all the people who've been following me for years. Really appreciate that. And I'm glad you guys like the PDFs on the Patreon. Make sure if you want to support what I do, check out my Patreon page, and you won't regret it. A lot of PDF I shared there and other things, some exclusive videos, and I will be going live a lot more there exclusively. In fact, the Noah video that I did recently, that was about 4 months ago. We did an exclusive on my Patreon. So yeah, I'm gonna try to do that a lot more. Go ahead and check that out. We're about to start. Yeah. Hey, Martin, I know you like that. Martin, the musician, great musician. Hey, appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm just trying to give time to people to join. You know, I know it's Saturday and it's very early. Like, I know nobody was really expecting me to go live right now. Shabbat Shalom. Yo, give thanks to the Most High. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to get started right now. So these are them right here. You guys can see some of the images online of Maximo and Bartola. We're gonna get this like it's the first time. Let go. Shout out to Drop Nation. Much love to Con Drop, all the family out there. Shout out to the Telegram crew, all the Patreons. Appreciate you guys.
So today we're going to be discussing these two individuals right here. Most of you have probably seen this image on the internet in the description that are given, regarding these two persons. So, most of us heard and seen that these are supposedly the last so-called, full-blooded Aztecs, right? But have we really done our research to verify all this? I just want to talk about the history, the truth about these two. All right, so these two individuals were also known as the Aztec Lilliputians, or the little people. Aztec Lilliputians by Hans Kranz, 1853. And this will be a close-up of the image that we just saw of these so-called last Aztecs, Aztec Lilliputians. Again, as we can see here in the British Library, and we see the image here, we see the little small Lilliputians. All right, what does it say? It says the Aztec Lilliputians, all right, from the great and mysterious city of Ishimaya in Central America. All right, we're going to look into that, really, huh? Well, we're going to look into that in Aztecs, who will appear upon the stage for one night only. Look at the image right here. It says in the course of the evening, these extraordinary Lilliputians, the Aztecs. So look at the image. It says Aztecs will appear and go through their various acquired accomplishments, accompanied by the guardian who will detail the history of these marvelous beings. Marvelous beings. All right. And again, the Aztec Lilliputians. You see them right here in this image. Again, over here, see how they're being worshipped by other Indians. So again, Lilliputians. And this is from the Harvard Theater collection. The Aztec Lilliputians. And just one more, we're here in the Victoria and Albert Museum of London. All right, they got this image right here. I'm just going to show you a close-up of it. And this is the close-up of the image right here. Leicester Square, Linwood Gallery says the Aztec Lilliputians and the Earthmen. Grand fashion exhibition of the Aztec Lilliputians and urban ninjas, the two new races of people. And you see the images again. Lilliputians, they're shown them right here being worshipped. They're little guys right here. So the last Aztecs, right? All right, so take a look at these last Aztecs. This is from the Welcome Collection, and we're going to learn that these two people were called Maximo and Bartola. So just zoomed in a little bit so you can see what they're portrayed as here, for those of how they're depicted here. Again, see them right here. They were brother and sister actually, and they were always depicted as, you know, we'll read, you know, they try to marry them and, you know, show them us as a couple. But you see what they look like? More images of them. As you can see here, who are these people? Who's this guy? Is that Barnum and Bailey? P.T. Barnum. All right, so you see their coarse hair. We're in the Massachusetts Historical Society, founded in 1791, right? It says that's their website. It says Extraordinary Living Wonders, the Aztec Children, because they were also known as the Aztec Children, in Boston. This is from Mary Fabisuski, senior cataloger. Let me just show you this image first. So it's Extraordinary Living Wonders, on exhibition for a few days only at Copeland Building, 186 Washington Street, corner of Franklin Street. Look how they're depicted. See how they're depicted with the temples and the mounds and pyramids behind them. It says the wonderful and world-renowned Aztec children, a male and female, one supposed to be about 17 and the other 24 years old, said to be the descendants and specimens of a sacerdotal or priest caste now nearly extinct, the ancient Aztec founders of the ruined temples of Central America, as described by John L. Stevens, Esquire, and other Central American travelers. They have arrived at full maturity and are about 4 feet high, yet their heads are as small as infants, and though they have all the organs of speech, they are unable to utter but a few distinct words of any language, but can make themselves understood by those having them in charge. They have recently arrived from Europe, where they were received and marked favor by all the crowned heads and nobility, so they were exhibited in Europe to all the kings and queens over there. All right, so this poster is letting you know they're back in the U.S. from that tour. So the greatest wonders the human race has ever furnished. Indeed, they are admitted by every person who sees them to be the most extraordinary, as well as the most interesting and pleasing human curiosities ever known. And to physiologists and scientific men generally, they are beyond all doubt objects of the deepest interest. They are on exhibition with an African earth woman. So they're traveling with an African earth woman. Again, the Aztec children. Here you go. So back in the article in the Massachusetts Historical Society, says the remarkable Aztec children. It says in November and December of 1850, for a 25 cents admission fee, 12.5 cents for children, Bostonians could view two remarkable specimens of the human race known to the world as the Aztec children. Small in stature and clad in Aztec-themed costumes, the two were billed as descendants of the specimens of the sacerdotal caste, now nearly extinct, of the ancient Aztec founders of the ruined temples of that country. Their slanted heads resembled illustrations of profile illustrations from Central America ruins that appeared in John Lloyd Stevens' bestseller Incidents of Travel in Central America, Chiapas, and Yucatan. To make the illusions complete, a fantastical account of their origins was sold at the Children's Appearances, entitled Memoir of an Eventful Expedition in Central America, resulting in the discovery of the idolatrous city of Ichi Maya. All right, so we're going to get into these two books mentioned here. And even in the article, it says, in addition to their popularity with audiences, the two also attracted much attention from the medical and phrenological communities. After their visit in Boston in 1850, Dr. Jonathan Mason Warren published an illustrated article on the pair in the American Journal of the Medical Sciences, which was later issued as a pamphlet. Choosing to stick to the facts, Warren identified the children as Indian dwarfs. So who was the children? They were Indian. These were Indian dwarfs. Are you going to see throughout the video? There's not.
So you guys see his full beard, right? Indian.
And mention about Africans, all right? So again, this doctor from the American Journal of Medical Sciences is telling you that they were Indian dwarves, clearly not crediting the story of their semi-divine origins. Warren minutely describes their physical characteristics down to their slightly webbed fingers and their posture, which may well be compared to that of some of the simian tribe. You see that? Simian means monkeys. They're comparing them to monkeys, this doctor. But he said they were Indian dwarfs. Of their intellectual capability, Warren observed that they were quite imitative, but with regard to any communication by signs or language which they may have with each other, it appears to be not much greater than what might be expected from two intelligent individuals of the canine race. You hear that? Warren goes on to compare the size of their heads to that of infants, idiotic children, chimpanzees, and orangutans, concluding that the Aztec children, although a very low mental organization, cannot be pronounced idiots of the lowest grade. Massachusetts Historical Society. All right, do you see this? But are these Aztecs, and is this story true? The last full-blooded Aztecs? All right, let's look into this. So we're in the American Journal of the Medical Sciences, the one we just read about in the other article from the Massachusetts Historical Society. I just wanted to show you. This is from April 1851. So remember, after they saw them in Boston, they wanted to study them. You're going to see this article. I'm not going to read it all. I just want to show you some parts, but it's really messed up. They just really talking about them. They measured them. They did studies on them. So I'll just read a little bit of here. It says, two children have appeared in Boston so remarkable for their smallness of stature and the peculiarities of their mental faculties that they seem to merit some public notice. I propose to state in the following paper simple matters of fact without attempting any speculation in regard to them. Again, this is by J. Mason Warren, MD, an account of the two remarkable Indian dwarfs exhibited in Boston. Indian dwarfs. Indian. The children are a boy and girl, and from the appearance offered by their dentition hereafter to be given, the former is from 7 to 8 years of age, the latter from 4 to 6. See how young they had them? Allowance being made for a retarded condition of these organs on account of the otherwise abnormal want of development of the whole body. The boy is 33 and 33/4 inches in height, and his weight 20 and 3/8 pounds. The girl is 29 and a half inches high, and her weight 17 pounds. Now listen to this. Their skin is of a dark yellowish cast. A dark yellowish cast. It's lighter than what is generally attributed to the Indian in this part of the country. So check this out. Pay attention to that. The Indians in that area are even darker than them. Again, this is what the American Journal of the Medical Sciences, letting you know that the Indians are dark. So their skin is, again, of a dark yellowish cast, lighter than what is generally attributed to the Indians in this part of the country, and somewhat darker than that of the mulatto.
All right, so if you guys understand what they're saying they're lighter than most of the Indians in that area, and look at them, they're already a little dark, or melanated, and you can see their coarse woolly hair. So now imagine that. So they're telling you right here, straight up.
But they're telling us that they're darker than that, but they're still lighter than the average Indian. So imagine that, the Indians are really dark. They're telling you straight up here. The hair of the middle part and rises is an inch distance from the root of the nose, but on each side of fine hair descends quite to the edge of the orbit. In the boy, it is a black, coarse, quite stiff. In the girl, wavy and curled. Coarse, wavy, and curled. So they continue to talk about them. It's a lot that they go over. They go over their height, see the spine, arm, forearm, hair length. All right, all science stuff, all measurements. They're measuring them like animals, I'm telling you. That's what they were doing to them at this time, all right? So I just wanted to show you again the American Journal of the Medical Sciences, what they're saying and their study they did on them, and letting you know that these are Indian dwarfs. Indian. They're darker than mulatto. And you see they got coarse hair. All right, so continuing this website, which is the Special Collections Processing at Penn Libraries. penrare.wordpress.com is the website. It says Maximo and Bartola and the myth of Ichimaya. They were supposedly found in this legendary hidden city called Ichimaya. This is posted by Abby Lang, 2014. It says, while cataloging a volume of 19th century anthropologic and ethnographic pamphlets on the Indians of North America, This pamphlet jumped out with its typographically festive message of cultural imperialism and racialization. So they're talking about this pamphlet or book right here, which we have. Let me just show you. And this plays an important role with these two individuals, these so-called last Aztecs. It says, illustrated memoir of an eventful expedition into the Central America, resulting in the discovery of the idolatrous city of Ichimaya, in an unexplored region in the possession of two remarkable Aztec children, Maximo the man and Bartola the girl, descendants and specimens of the sacerdotal caste, now nearly extinct, of the ancient Aztec founders of the ruined temples of that country, described by John L. Stevens, Esquire. Using this guy's work, which is another book, to try to basically justify what they're going to say in this book. So again, this is given the authorship. It says translated from the Spanish of Pedro Velázquez of San Salvador. This is both author of this book. So this is the book again. Continuing. Cataloging this pamphlet turned up an extremely sad history involving the kidnapping of two children from El Salvador. 19th century conceptions of race and disability in America and Europe, and P.T. Barnum and the American Circus freak show. So P.T. Barnum is involved in all this.
So you guys know that, lately, a lot of things are getting exposed, especially when it comes to human trafficking and child kidnappings and all that around the world. And this is a case of it. This is an early case of it, They were doing this. That's what P.T. Barnum was.
Pamphlet memoir of an eventful expedition in Central America helps tell the story of the construction of racial and ethnic others during the period of the birth of American anthropology. The idolatrous city of Ichimaya, as well as the author of the pamphlet, Pedro Velázquez, are both imaginary. They're both what? Imaginary. Ichimaya doesn't exist. I looked into it. It really doesn't. The inspiration for the Maya city and this fictitious memoir was John Lloyd Stevens' 1841 seminal travel account, Incidents of Travels in Central America, Chiapas, and Yucatan, illustrated by Frederick Catherwood. All right, so they're saying that they got their idea for this story, right, from the so-called Pedro Velázquez, which is imaginary. All that is imaginary. They got it from this other book, a real expedition that was done by John Lloyd Stevens in 1841, which is this book right here. So this is the book. Again, Incidents of Travel in Central America, Chiapas, and Yucatan by John L. Stevens, author of Incidents of Travel in Egypt, Arabia, Petra, and the Holy Land, etc. This is volume 1. A lot of info in this book. Has nothing to do with no fairy tales or anything like that, what we're going to expose right now, but they try to use his book and some of his phrases to try to basically benefit their false story, so they can go along with helping enslave and exhibit really these two persons we're about to find out, all right, so-called last Aztecs. All right, so again, back to the article we were just reading. Again, they're telling us that their inspiration was John Lloyd Stevens' book, all right, that we just saw. So Stevens was a travel writer from New York City who, along with Catherwood, spent the years of 1839 to 1843 traveling in Mexico and Central America. Stevens provides grandiloquent descriptions of ancient Maya ruins and the indigenous communities they encountered, and accompanied by Catherwood's precise architectural engravings, the text was an early introduction to the ruins of Maya cities for a mesmerized North American and European audience. As told in Incidents of Travel in Central America, on their way to the ruins of Palenque in southern Mexico, Stevens and Catherwood hear a story from an old padre, or an old priest, of an ancient city occupied by candones, or unbaptized Indians, meaning they haven't been conquered, who live as their fathers did, acknowledging no submission to the Spaniards, and the government of Central America does not pretend to exercise any control over them. This city could allegedly be seen from a distance from the top of the neighboring Sierra, but no white man had ever set forth within the city, as the inhabitants are aware that a race of strangers has conquered the whole country around and murder any white man who attempts to enter their territory. So this is again in Stevens' book. We just saw this one right here. So they're quoting him again. This is on volume 2, page 195. Now continues, as Stevens and Caterwood couldn't deviate from their itinerary and take the time to reach the city, or even to climb the highest ridge of the Sierra to see the mysterious city below. They had heard of another explorer who did reach the top of the ridge, only to find that the city obscured by clouds cover, and the old padre had seen it from afar. So the interests were definitely piqued. The interest awakened in us was the most thrilling I ever experienced. One look at that city was worth 10 years of an everyday life. So again, the quoting Stevens, volume 2 of his book, but they're letting you know here that he actually never saw no city or even been to anybody. He never mentioned that about Ishimaya or anything like that. All right. So this is from the book. Again, the illustrations. The fake story. Just go to that page right here. Here it is again. It's looking to the side, but it's the same one we're seeing right here in the article. So this is a fake story. It's fake.
So basically, guys, I don't know if you're following on. Basically, they're using a real book, this other book, right? Because they're saying this other book is saying they're getting it from John Stevens, and that other book, John Stevens, doesn't mention anything they're talking about. So they added a lot of that stuff, but on the cover, it makes you think that they're literally quoting the travels of Stevens, and it's really not. This is a fictional story they created to try to legitimize the kidnapping of these people, making it seem like they rescued them from this jungle, savage jungle people.
Fiction. Now it says, this is an image of Ishimaya discovered from the Sierra Nevada from the 1853 expedition of illustrated memoir of an eventual expedition in Central America. All right, so it says Stevens speculated that 2 young men of good constitution and who could afford to spend 5 years might succeed in reaching the city.
All right, so yeah, hey, shout out to Martin Collins. Hey, yo, happy born day, bro. Much love, much love.
This is where our pamphlet memoir of an eventful expedition in Central America picks up the story. So they just grab from there. They're saying that they continued the story that John Stevens was probably mentioning, which was that there might be a city there with Indians, but it never really specifically went to one, right? So they're telling you that the pamphlet, the other one, picks up from there, with the introduction of the very 2 men equipped to reach Ishimaya, Mr. Hurtis and Mr. Hammond. This fictional narrative follows the 2 men on their travels from Belize to the mythic Maya city supposedly located in Chiapas, meeting Senor Pedro Velázquez of San Salvador along the way. Velázquez acts as their guide and also keeps a manuscript journal of the journey, which is supposedly translated into memoir of an eventful expedition in Central America. All right. So the pamphlet describes the discovery of Ichimaya, as well as of 2 small children kept within the city, the surviving remnant of an ancient and singular order of priesthood called Kanas, which had accompanied the first migration of this people from the Assyrian plains. Velázquez 31. The Ishimayans held the remaining members of this race in veneration as living specimens of an antique race so nearly extinct. The legend of the Mayas of Ichimaya killing all white intruders was upheld in this account, and only Velázquez leaves alive, kidnapping the Cana sister and brother and returning to El Salvador. So they made a whole movie about it.
All right, so that's the whole fictional story of how they got them. We're going to show you guys that's not their origin. Yeah, so Ichimaya is not a real city. And remember, they're calling them Aztec children. And so why are they talking about a Maya city if they're Aztec? Do you understand? It's all a bunch of hijack. And Aztec is a tag. And then who are the real, Aztec came much later, and, not connected to the people where they found these people. You guys will see where it is. But let's keep going.
So you'll see why. It says Velázquez describes the children as diminutive in stature and embezzled in intellect, but also as the greatest ethnological curiosities in living form. as specimens of an absolutely unique and nearly extinct race of mankind that they claim the attention of physiologists and all men of science. According to the memoir of an eventful expedition in Central America, Velasquez sends the children at the ages of 8 and 10 to the United States to exhibit them as specimens of this almost lost race. So this is an image from that book that we have. So they try to say that these are the same people depicted in the Maya walls. That's what they were trying to show and make people believe. The two children became known to the world as Maximo and Bartola Velasquez, or the Aztec children, and performed in circus freak shows for 4 decades. This pamphlet was published possibly for P.T. Barnum. Really? It was published for him? As a promotional piece for exhibits of the Aztec children to arouse curiosity in these living specimens from ancient Mesoamerica. So that story of them being the last Aztec children is false. It was a promotional piece done for P.T. Barnum. This is them again dressed up. See how they dress him up with the sun thing on him? You see the froze? All right, these are Indians. The stories of the discovery at Ichimaya and their race are fictitious. In truth, the children suffer from microcephaly. You see, they had this disease, a neurodevelopmental disorder that resulted in reduced head size and impaired intellectual development and possibly dwarfism. They were found in the 1840s in a small village in the state of San Miguel, El Salvador, by a Spanish trader named Ramon Selva, who promised their parents to bring them to the United States for treatment of their condition, but instead sold them to a promoter named Morris. The physical attributes of their disorder were exploited in order to build them as the remarkable Aztec children. Descendants and specimens of the sacerdotal caste, now nearly extinct, of the ancient Aztec founders of the ruined temples of that country. Morris and others compared their look as strikingly similar to engravings in Stevens' Incidents of Travel in Central America, Chiapas and Yucatan of ancient Mayas depicted in stone within various Maya ruins. It is unclear why these children were referred to Aztec rather than Maya. So even though they found them in a supposed Maya, even the story's messed up because they supposedly found them in a Maya city, but they're calling them Aztec. See, they're pointing that out to you. But presumably Aztec was being used to mean pro-Columbian, Mexican in general, as was common in the 19th century.
All right, so I hope you guys following along. It was sensationalism. They created this little pamphlet to promote who they were so people can go and watch them in these circuses and stuff. And they saved them from this savage jungle city, Ichimaya, the Aztecs, and all this stuff, right? So, but you're going to see, as we just saw, they're from El Salvador. They're from El Salvador in Central America. They're still Indians, but their whole story is fabricated, all right? As you saw there, they did it and they were literally kidnapping kids, people, exploiting their um, health condition, microcephaly, right? And just parading them around like animals. P.T. Barnum and all these traders, traffickers, literally traffickers, human traffickers.
Dressed in pseudo-Aztec costumes, the Aztec children first appeared in the U.S. in the early 1850s to an electrified American public and medical community. The mayor of Boston attended and promoted an early appearance of the children there. They were brought before the Boston Society of Natural History, and papers about them appeared in subsequent years in medical journals such as the American Journal of Medical Sciences. All right, we just read that one, right? And the Lancet. Members of the Senate and House of Representatives met with Maximo and Bartola, and they were invited to the White House to meet President Millard Fillmore. In 1853, they were taken to England by Morris, billed there as the Aztec Lilliputians. They were exhibited at the Ethnological Society and met the royal family at Buckingham Palace before continuing a tour of Europe and meeting with other royal families. All right?
Okay. Queen Elizabeth and all these people, all the royals. You guys here? They're exploiting them. Like, look, we kidnapped some kids from El Salvador, and now we're calling them Aztec Mayas, exotic from the priest clan. Lilliputians. They're short, but that was their medical condition. They were literally not addressing.
The Aztec children were not only sold into a life of sideshows performance, but they were also subjected to medical tests and ethnological examinations and cranial measurements in order to study their racial traits. The scientific community eventually discredited the pamphlets and Barnum's assertion of their pure race, despite their racial status lowered to that of mestizos. So they after they realized it was fiction, they called them mestizos, right? What is that keyword for? Indians. They continued to draw crowds at Barnum's circus until fading into obscurity near the turn of the century. Here's another image of them, so-called Negroes, right? You see the afros. So again, Maximo Bartola, all right, also known as Maximo Valdez Nunez and Bartola Velasquez, respectively, for the stage names of two Salvadoran siblings, both suffering from microcephaly and cognitive developmental disability, who were exhibited in human zoos in the 19th century, originally from near Usulutan, a very indigenous part of El Salvador. The siblings were given by their mother to a merchant who promised he would take them to Granada to be educated and exhibited. Then they went through several guardians afterwards. They were eventually billed as the Aztec children. An elaborate story was constructed of how they were found in the temple of a lost Mesoamerican city. They toured the US and Europe, appearing before various regions and dignitaries. So before we end the video, I just wanted to read finally from this article I found from a newspaper, the government of Salvador's Gazette or newspaper from 1853, November 4th, 1853. And they had an article regarding these two individuals, the Aztec children. So this is the part of the article I want to read to you. It's in Spanish. I want you to go ahead and, if you want to get an expert in Spanish to verify if I'm translating it correctly, go ahead. So it starts out, ¿Cómo se abusa del público? Or how do they abuse the public? So I'm just going to read in English as I go along, all right? So it says, in the Costa Rican Gazette of October 8th, we previously reproduced an article from the Times relative to two young persons whom speculators in their exhibition have baptized with the classification of the Aztec Lilliputians. The observations of the Costa Rican Gazette over this matter are open to judgment as past full of salt, and more would have said about this, the wording, if when he wrote had been aware of the data we are going to communicate to our readers. So they're saying that they're missing some data in that publication of the Costa Rican Gazette. All right, so they're about to correct them. Remember, we're reading from El Salvadoran Gazette, and they're kind of mad at what happened and what they're reading in these other newspapers in this time about these two people. All right, that says, before anything, ante todas cosas, before anything, we declare as Central Americans, moderately educated in the geography of our country, the city of Ichimaya, its towers, castles, and golden minarets are a tale of the Arabian Nights, as well as the Aztec Lilliputians of the priestly race.
Fake.
These are tales letting you this is fake. They're not Lilliputian Aztec priests, and Ichimaya does not exist. Los dos muchachos, or the two young persons that are now being exhibited in Europe, remember, 1853, are not Lilliputians, nor Aztecs, nor priests, nor natives of Ichimaya, nor belong to any other race apart from man, or natives of the Republic of Guatemala, because there's some stories that they were Guatemalans. But it says, in the department of San Miguel, in a place called La Puerta, which in Spanish actually means the door, or puerta, right? Near the village of Usulutan, lives a mulata. A mulata, what do we know about mulata? Keyword for Indian most of the time. Married mother of these two children that passed between us like a phenomenon. As it happens as such, another son that the same woman has identified, the first two. So she had another son who they were able to verify those were her brothers. The other son verified those were her brothers, or the first two that came. And that they would surely pass as Aztec Lilliputians if any merchant would become owner of them. Mr. Raimundo Selva, a native of Nicaragua, wanting to speculate with these rare children, he got them from the mother by means of a few ounces of gold 4 or 5 years ago. And thus, once obtained, he went with them to the United States, taking with him also a wolf, a white deer, and some titious monkeys.
So that's the kind of, we got a little different version stories of how they acquired them or kidnapped them. It still could have been kidnapped. They're saying the mom sold them. Maybe, maybe a mom could do that out of desperation or who knows what. Or as we read earlier, they promised her that they were going to go fix them and operate on them on some good hospitals in the U.S. And, that wasn't the case. So who knows? But that's what it's saying here.
Arriving at San Juan in Nicaragua, we don't know how he was stripped by an American of all those curiosities, and had therefore this caused some other troubles. After this, Mr. Ignacio Cepeda, agent of Mr. Silva, solicited from the government of the state of El Salvador documents to verify the property of its cause in the boys and animals, and in fact the Ministry of Relations authenticated the information presented by Cepeda. We do not know if Mr. Silva gets his things recovered. So this article continues, such as the true story of the Aztec Lilliputians, or so-called the Aztec Lilliputians, and we believe in feeling a duty of conscience informing the world about its precedents and native place in Salvador. So they wanted to make sure and clear the air, let everybody know that these two individuals are not from no mythical city called Ichimaya. They're not the last Aztec. They're actually Salvadoran. They were sold to this merchant. The Salvador Gazette from 1853 letting you know these were Salvadorians. As the American Journal of the Medical Sciences told us from 1851, that these are two remarkable Indian dwarves. They're Indian. So again, these two, aboriginals from El Salvador, they got, bought from their mom. I guess she was, I don't know the reason. We don't know what she was told or why she even did it, but unfortunately they were sold to these people who just wanted to take advantage of them, not help them, exhibit them around the world as freaks, freak shows, and P.T. Barnum and Bailey had a big role in this. In fact, just wanted to show you something here, and it says from the Catterwood Projects, Incidents of Visual Reconstructions and Other Matters. This is the name of the book. It says over here, hoping to capitalize on the publication's success, P.T. Barnum perpetuated a hoax publishing a spurious memoir of an eventful expedition in Central America. All right, so it says that P.T. Barnum was the actual person who wrote that pamphlet under a pseudonym, and he exhibited a pair of midgets as human specimens from this voyage. The enterprising showman brought these two individuals to New York and London, where they were displayed as two remarkable Aztec children, Maximo the man and Bartola the girl, descendants and specimens of the sacerdotal caste, now nearly extinct, of the ancient Aztec founders of the ruined temples of that country, described by John L. Stevens. As it says here in the Smithsonian magazine.com, says P.T. Barnum isn't the hero the greatest showman wants you to think. I know his movie just came out, but the truth is he was exhibiting children around like animals.
Yeah, he's a human trafficker, and they could have told people, well, we bought him from the mom, but they could have kidnapped him. We don't know. They could have kidnapped him. That happens.
Further down in the article, says similar racial or othering permeated the rest of Barnum's living curiosities, from the Aztec children who were actually from El Salvador. They were actually Salvadoran, to the real but exoticized Siamese twins. Letting Smithsonian that they were actually from Salvador, right? So it's very messed up what happened to these two individuals. They were exhibited as little people, like a different race, like they were animals, and it was just for money. It was just for entertainment. They didn't care about them, how they felt. They must have had a horrible life. This is right here in the Princeton University Art Museum. You can see the Aztec Lilliputians again. But these were, two human beings. So even though they had, this disease, they were humans. They shouldn't have been treated like that. You need to know the real history. I just wanted to do this video so you guys can know the true history of these two individuals. So now when you see the images online, the real background. Then, honor them. Look at them. Even though the story of them being Aztec, the last Aztec is fake, they're still Indians from El Salvador. Possibly could be Maya and Aztec, but there's a different story behind this.
Yeah. So hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys enjoyed this little presentation. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Now you guys know who these individuals are really. All right. They're not no Aztec, Lilliputians, and nothing like that, or the last full-blooded, But they are American Indians from El Salvador, indigenous people from El Salvador. Possibly got kidnapped, human trafficked, and paraded around. So this video is for them and their history and what they went through. You guys can know. Thanks for tuning in. Shabbat Shalom. Much love and respect. Pura vida, mi gente. We're gonna go out with a banger from Robin Dre, Beats with Bite. Shout out to my boy, Warsheep Red Lion. All right, name of the song, name of the beat is Scam Artist. That's what we're gonna go out. That's what they are, scam artists. It fits the topic of today. Pura vida, mi gente. Wow.